Hi everyone, my name is Kirsten St. John. I am one half of the Christian jazz pop duo Zoetic, and today I am making a very fun video where I will be ranking every Christian artist that I can possibly think of. So this is gonna be fun. You are the reason I won't look back. First artist is Aaron Shust. I think that's his name, Shust. He is a really decent worship artist. I really like his acoustic flair. He has a good voice. He did that song "My Savior, My God" that was really popular, like I think in 2007, 2008. He's good. I really like his voice. I think he is a solid worship writer. He's not going to go in the top 2 tiers, but I'm going to put him in good, in B tier. Next is the Afters. It's really interesting because the early career of the Afters was fantastic. They kind of build themselves as this like alternative band, alternative rock band. Never Going Back to Okay is a great album. It's a great album. Then they just got like more and more poppy over time. They went a direction that I wasn't nearly as much of a fan of, but they're still like their early career is really good. So I'm also going to rank them in B tier. The Almost is the band by Under Oath's drummer, Aaron Gillespie. He is I believe the lead singer. It might be a one-man thing. The Almost is pretty good. I like the genre of The Almost a lot. It had a very raw sound. Under Oath did too. This very emo kind of raw sound that I thought was really cool. I didn't find the songwriting of The Almost as compelling as some of these other Christian rock bands. So it is also going to go in B tier. Trust me, other artists are going to like be in different tiers. Don't worry. We're not just going to do B tier the whole time. Next is Amy Grant. Ooh, Amy Grant. Very polarizing. As a musician, she has a great voice. She has a great voice. She's a great songwriter. She worked a lot with Michael W. Smith, who I'm going to rank very highly. Michael W. Smith is one of the most prolific songwriters on this in this whole tier list. With Wayne Kirkpatrick, who's another phenomenal songwriter, The thing about Amy Grant, I mean, she definitely has strayed away from the faith. I've talked about that in other videos. She's shown support for an LGBTQ lifestyle. I think she may have even hosted her niece's lesbian wedding at her ranch. So we're going to put a warning label on her. But as far as musicianship goes, she has some great songs like I Have Decided, Lead Me On, Simple Things. I'm talking about a lot of her old stuff, right? But she is a giant within Christian music for a reason. I caution you with her beliefs now, but as a musician, she's going to go in A tier. Anberlin is phenomenal. Anberlin is such a good band. Like, full disclosure, I have met and talked to the guitarist of Anberlin personally. He's a great guy. They just had like 3 or 4 really killer albums. Never Take Friendship Personal, New Surrender was a fantastic album. They were just one of the best bands in that alternative emo genre. Yeah, they're gonna go in S tier for me. I think Anberlin is super good. If you guys want to hear some great Christian alternative rock music, Anberlin's a great place to start. Andrew Peterson. He has amazing lyrics. I love Andrew Peterson's lyricism. He's written some really beautiful worship songs that sound different than a lot of the other worship music out there. I think Andrew Peterson is a gem in a sea of mediocre worship music. He is also going to go in S tier. Okay. Next is Audio Adrenaline. So you guys may have known Audio Adrenaline as the guys who did Big House. It's a big, big house. That was like a really popular song when we were kids. Fun little song. Some of their old stuff is pretty cool. It has like a very punk kind of attitude to it that I like. Their new stuff is real bad, guys. It is not good at all. They went poppy and they didn't do it well, in my opinion. They are going in C. August Burns Red, S tier. Probably some of the most talented musicians, if not the most talented musicians in terms of technicality on this entire list. I don't really care if you like metal or not. You cannot deny their talent. Matt Grenier is one of the best drummers in modern metal, period. So the fact that he's a Christian is fantastic. Next, Avalon. Creative songwriting, great harmonies. Testify to Love is a banger. It's awesome. They had some other pretty good songs too. They didn't quite reach the heights as some of these other artists on this list. I still think they're a really solid band. An older kind of Christian CCM type band. They're going to go in B tier as well. Barlow Girl. What I really love about Barlow Girl is that they learned instruments. They learned instruments to be in the band. They played their instruments. They wrote their own songs. I like Barlow Girl's usage of strings. They have some really cool songs with beautiful strings in them. I think they paved the way for other bands like Red to go further with that. Barlow Girl, I'll put up an A tier. Bethel. Okay. Despite the fact that I think Bethel is heretical in many ways, definitely does not line up with me theologically or what I believe Scripture says. I don't really think they did a lot of good things for worship music. Is worship music better because Bethel exists? I don't think so. They're going in the bottom tier. Big Daddy Weave. Their old stuff is better and more interesting. That's going to be a theme with a lot of the artists on this list. They never quite reached the popularity or the heights of some of their contemporaries like Third Day or Casting Crowns. They're not bad. They're not great. I don't know. I like their acoustic sound. I think I'm going to put them in C though. Blessing Offor. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly or not. He's a gospel artist. Decent melodies, good voice. There's some gospel flavor to the music, but I want more gospel chord progressions. I don't like it when people write gospel music and make gospel music and they don't have a command of music theory to the level where they can really write strong gospel chord progressions. I don't hear a lot of that in his music. It's not really my thing. I don't think it's bad, but it's going to go in C tier as well. Brandon Heath. Better than average lyrics. Give Me Your Eyes is a really good song. I listened to a couple of his other top songs too that I hadn't heard. And I like his lyricism a lot. I think it is less cliche than some of these other Christian artists that you find. Some good chord progressions too. He likes to use a lot of minor fifths, minor five chords, which I just think is a really cool sound. It kind of fits his lyricism. He has a good voice too, so I'm going to put him in B tier. Building 429. Old stuff is better. I don't really think they have a lot of songs where I'm like, wow, this is a tremendous song. They're fine. They're going to go in C tier. CAIN. Ooh. Okay, I'm going to be real. I'm not going to doubt their sincerity necessarily. I did read somewhere that CAIN tried to make it in the country music scene and then was kind of unable to, and so they moved over to the Christian music scene. I don't know their hearts. I don't know if they're strong Christians or not. They haven't said anything super objectionable. As far as their music goes, it's not my thing. Their stuff is kind of cheesy to me. It's just cliche. There's kind of a country flavor. I'm not a big fan of country music. Part of this is just personal preference. But I just, their lyrics and their sound is pretty cliche to me. I see why they're popular. I'm not saying don't listen to them. I'm not going to doubt their sincerity and their faith, but they're going to go in average for me. Casting Crowns. Casting Crowns, pretty genuine band. They've stood up for some really awesome things. Stood up for life, for traditional marriage. I like Casting Crowns. I also grew up with them. There's some nostalgia associated with them with their first album. They had a ton of really solid albums. I think Mark Hall is a really good songwriter. It's not a band that I frequent today, but they made an undeniable mark on Christian music. And I just like their sound a lot. So I'm going to put them up in A. Chris Rice. Great songwriter, extensive discography. He did some really interesting versions of hymns, acoustic hymns that I thought were good. I would put him on the same level as Aaron Shust. I think they're kind of similar people, similar artists. So he's going to go in B tier. Chris Tomlin. here's the thing. I heard an incredible statistic about Chris Tomlin. His songs have been sung more than any other artist on planet Earth. More than the Beatles, more than, Beyonce. Like, Chris Tomlin's songs have been sung the most by any singular artist around the world on Earth. I don't know how quite they measured that, but that is insanely impressive. And the guy is a great songwriter. Like, he really is. I've made some joking videos about him adding choruses to hymns, but he is a tremendously talented worship writer. And so, do I frequently listen to his music? No. But he is going to go up in A tier just based on his writing alone, his influence on Christian music and worship music. Okay. Citizen Way. So I hadn't really heard this band until I went and listened to their top songs recently. I find them very cliche. I just think that they fall into every cliche that Christian music has become. Every Christian music trope is in their music. That they have lyrics that are kind of dull to me and vague. They are kind of what we are trying to counteract in Zoetic. And so I'm not going to doubt their sincerity, but as musicians, they're going to go in the bottom tier. Another musician that's going to go in the bottom tier is Cochran Co. I don't know how it's pronounced. Sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. Very similar. Very boring. Everything, like, there's a lot of songs that just kind of start with piano. They're like mid-tempo ballads, cliche lyrics. Like, I can see the effort, but I want something more creative, more inventive than this. Also, this name sounds like a clothing company. It's just like kind of a funny name. I'm not going to fault them for that, or him, or whoever it is. But this was like not my thing. When I listened to it, I just felt like it was very cliche. Colton Dixon has a good voice. Colton Dixon has had some good production choices, good arranging. I think he is better than the two previous artists that I just named, but a lot of his stuff is still really cliche, and just kind of like dull. Like, I don't see a lot of inventiveness in the songwriting. Danny Gokey, I would put as like a high C tier. He has a good voice. I actually kind of like his voice. He has slightly better songwriting. He's written about a couple of interesting topics. I don't think he cracks the B tier. He's fine, but he kind of falls into the same category of the last three artists. I'm sorry. Dante Bowe is a newer artist. He is associated with Maverick City Music. Good voice, catchy songs. I like the gospel influence that he's used and some of the stuff that he's done. But his character is questionable. There's been a lot of scandals that have come out about Dante Bowe. So as a musician, as a songwriter, yeah, I'm going to put him in B tier. I think he could still be better from a musician standpoint. I want more gospel chords. If you're going to be a gospel artist, go full hog. David Crowder, in my opinion, the worst voice in Christian music. I cannot stand this man's voice. I think he kind of sounds like a goat. Like, I'm sorry. I just cannot stand this guy's voice. I never have been able to like it. I didn't like it when I was a kid. I don't like it now. Songwriting and arrangements are good. But the voice is so difficult for me. It kind of evens out to me at C. Sorry. I can't justify myself putting him up a tier. Just, I like his music, but I just wish someone else sang it. All right. DC Talk, S tier. DC Talk is inventive, creative, wonderful. They have a gospel album, a rock album, and a rap album, in addition to many other incredibly good albums. They changed Christian music forever. Three incredibly talented guys, all good singers. DC Talk is amazing. Amazing. I still listen to them. I still jam out to DC Talk. Decyfer Down. Decyfer Down is a really good band. I really like the southern influence that they have in their rock. I don't listen to them as frequently as some of these other rock bands. My husband really likes them though. And I just think they've written a lot of really solid songs. So they're going to go up in, think about that. I'll put them in B. All right, next we have Demon Hunter. Okay, Demon Hunter is a very polarizing band. They are metal. They have some really hardcore songs. I don't think they're as talented as August Burns Red from a technicality standpoint. I think they are very talented though. Tend to like their older stuff a little bit more. I think they have an album called the Triptych. Am I pronouncing that correctly? That's really good. I'm gonna put them up in A tier, but definitely listen to them if you are into metal. If you're not, they might be a little bit tough to stomach. Disciple. I'm gonna put Disciple up in S tier. I love everything about this band. Great songwriting, great musicians, great guys. I've talked to them. They're great guys. They truly do love the Lord. They've been in ministry for years and years together. I love that Kevin Young, he shares the gospel at the shows. He has such a great raw voice too. Disciple's a great band. Great. Delirious with a question mark. Delirious? I always thought it was weird that this band has a question mark at the end of its name. Like, I don't really understand why that's the case. They had like a couple of worship songs like Majesty. I'm blanking on their other songs right now. Majesty is the one I think of the most. Majesty is a fine song. I don't think they did, like, I don't see a ton of prolific songwriting coming out of this band. I don't think they're terrible. They're going to go in C tier. Elevation Worship. I mean, it's my thoughts about Bethel. Like, has it made worship music better? I don't think so. Like, is music more theologically accurate than it was? Is music more powerful? I mean, I think you would argue with Elevation Worship maybe, but I don't like bands that manufacture emotion. I don't like that. I think emotion should arise naturally out of things. So they're going to go in the bottom tier for me too. I just think that there are better choices for worship music. I think Sovereign Grace music, I'm not even Reformed, but I think Sovereign Grace is a better choice. I think Andrew Peterson's a better choice. I think Aaron Shust is a better choice. I just think there are better choices. Like, there are. Falling Up. So funny to have some of these artists next to each other. Like, when are you going to have Elevation Worship and Falling Up next to each other? Probably in a Christian tier ranking list is the only time you'd have that. Falling Up was a kind of like alternative. They were kind of like Cutlass. I think they were from the same state. Falling Up is a pretty good band. Like, they don't really hold up for me now. I was really into them when I was like a teenager. Jesse Ribordi, I think that's the lead singer. His voice is kind of polarizing. I'm not sure if it's one of my favorite voices. I think their songwriting is strong, but I don't think it reaches the top two tiers. So, Family Force 5, another very polarizing band where you either love or hate the voice. The voice can grate on me after a while. I don't remember the lead singer's name. The music's very interesting, very creative, inventive. I'll give them points for that. They certainly are not a boring band. They can be kind of obnoxious and in your face for sure, and it's definitely something I was more interested in as a teenager than I am now, but they'll go in B tier. FFH, good band, solid songwriters, long career, didn't reach some of the heights of some of these other contemporary artists, but I really do believe that they love the Lord. I'm going to put them also in B tier. It's going to be a lot of artists that go in like B and C, right? It's kind of like a bell curve, right? Fireflight, I like Fireflight, kind of like a Evanescence type, Christian Evanescence type of band. They had some really good songs, like Gave Me a Promise, Unbreakable. Those are the only two I can think of right now, but some really solid songs. Good singer, powerful female vocalist. The band was fine, like not crazy technical, but not bad, certainly. They're also going to go in B tier. Let's see if I can. There we go. All right, Flyleaf. Oh, I love me some Flyleaf. Lacey Sturm, the lead vocalist of Flyleaf, has one of the best voices in Christian music. Her voice is so passionate. The way that she can transition from singing to screaming, it is so cool. It is so cool. Great songwriters in Flyleaf too. Sometimes I forget how good Flyleaf is, and then I go back and listen to them, and I'm like, man, this band slaps. Like, they're so good. Yeah, they're gonna go up in S tier. Like, they're just their music was so passionate, and again, talking about bands that manufacture emotion, I never felt like Flyleaf did that. Flyleaf made me feel emotion, but I didn't feel like it was being forced on me. So yeah, can't say enough about that band. Great band. Next is For King and Country. Ooh. Yeah. I think this band tries a little too hard to be cool. I do think that just like the random capitalization even in titles. I'm not going to doubt their faith. I haven't heard anything that, makes me doubt that, obviously. They kind of remind me of like a Christian Imagine Dragons, and I'm just not a fan of Imagine Dragons. They have a lot of these like anthem choruses and stuff. I can see why they're popular. I just don't find them compelling. I'm going to put them in average. For Today is a very heavy band. Probably, arguably, as heavy as August Burns Red. Solid metal band. Not as good as ABR, August Burns Red. I don't think as compelling of songwriters as Demon Hunter either. I think Demon Hunter has more memorable songs. They aren't bad though. Good musicians. I'm going to put them in B tier. Francesca Battistelli. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correct, but yeah. Better than average songwriter. Very good voice. Very good voice. Her voice reminds me a lot of Sarah Bareilles. Kind of like, I'm going to have like Christian, non-Christian comps. I like that. It's not something I'm going to listen to a ton. There's a stylistic thing. It's just like not a genre that I frequent. But I see the merit in it. And I think she seems to be a strong Christian, seems to love the Lord, so I'm going to put her in B tier. I said I wasn't going to rank based on that, by the way. That's just a side note. I think as a musician, as a songwriter, she goes in B tier. Future of Forestry. I don't know if you guys have heard of this band or not. If you haven't, you need to go listen to it immediately. Future of Forestry has maybe the best songwriting on this entire tier list, minus maybe one or two bands. Future of Forestry's music, it's run by this guy, it's like spearheaded by this guy named Eric. I can't remember his last name, but he writes all of the music for it. Some of the most beautiful music I have ever heard in my life. Great, hooky, catchy songwriting while also being creative and beautiful. I've taken a lot of influence from this band, so it is no surprise that I am going to put them up in S tier. Grace Semler. Yeah, so Grace Semler she's called herself a Christian artist before, so I'm going to consider her one. She is actively living an LGBTQ lifestyle. I've talked about that before. That is not going to impact my ranking. I will say that if she was a really, really good artist, that'd be tough for me. Thank goodness she isn't. The voice EQ on her music is really bad. I don't know who is EQing her voice. It sounds like she's recording in a trash can. I think even if you took off the plugins, the EQ, all that stuff off her voice, she wouldn't have that great of a voice. Her voice sounds very flat to me. I don't mean flat pitch. I mean flat tone. Not great songwriting. I think the songwriting lacks hooks. Awful blasphemous lyrics, like that goes without saying. If I could make a tier below D, I would do it for Grace Semler, but I'm not going to. I'll put her in D tier. And again, people are going to be like, oh, you're just biased. No, it's actually like not good music. You can go listen to it if you want. I wouldn't recommend it though. Next is Hawk Nelson. Hawk Nelson. I really liked Hawk Nelson as a teenager. I kind of had a crush on like the lead guy. I think his name is Jason Dunn. They were just this kind of like boy punk rock band. They just have a lot of really good songs, like anthemic songs. Again, as a 28-year-old woman, I don't like listen to it a ton. But some of their songs have held up for me, I will say. After Jason Dunn left the band got significantly less good. But they have several albums with many catchy, great, memorable songs on them. I'm going to put Hawk Nelson in the A tier. I hope I did that correctly. Yes, I did. Okay, good. Again, I can't see the tier list, so. Hillsong. Oh, you guys are going to expect me to put Hillsong in D tier. I know you are. It's tempting. Hillsong definitely has had a lot of scandal associated with it, for sure. Hillsong has written some good worship songs. They have different writers that write different things. For instance, Shout to the Lord was written by a Hillsong writer. The Mighty to Save, which I think is a good song, was written by a Hillsong writer. I think that their songs are more memorable than some of these other bands that I put in D tier. I will put them in C tier, but their past is definitely sketchy. Israel Houghton. Israel Houghton is a profoundly talented musician. He does gospel music and he knows how to do it. He uses great chord changes in his songs. His lyrics are simple, for sure. But I cannot fault his musicianship and I can't fault his songwriting. I'm going to put him up in S tier. Jaci Velasquez. I don't know how to pronounce her name. I think that's how it is. Very nice voice. I really like her voice. She, On My Knees, is a song that she did. I think it's a beautiful song. Came out in, I believe, the late 90s, Christian music. I like that she has an English and a Spanish ministry. She's using her gifting, for the Lord, not just her voice, which is great, but also just the fact that she's bilingual. I think that's an excellent service for the kingdom of God. Her career did not go as far, at least in America, as some of these other artists did, and I don't think she has as many hits as some of these other artists in these top tiers. I'm going to put her in B tier. Jars of Clay. I think they're really good songwriters, guys. Like, I think the songwriters in Jars of Clay are really talented. I like the acoustic, vibe to their music. They have a lot of hits. It's just really hard to fault their songwriting. That being said, they have been questionable in regards to their Christianity. So I would definitely say we're gonna put a warning label on that. I would be discerning, but their old stuff is really good. I'm gonna put them in A tier. Okay, Jason Gray, another artist that I hadn't really heard before I started doing research for this video. He's just a CCM pop artist. Like, I don't have a lot else to say about that. Like, his song Sparrows is like every Christian cliche in a song. And again, I don't fault his sincerity. I don't think he's like not a Christian or something. That's not my point. I haven't seen anything to believe that, but like, as a musician, like, I just want us to be more creative in our songwriting. I just desire that. And I just find that he falls into those tropes, whether it's production tropes like the stomping and the clapping, or whether it's just these cliche, again, very vague, shallow lyrics, or whether it's just, I can predict where the chord progression's going. I mean, the chord progression is just on repeat constantly, you know what I mean? There isn't a lot of variety there. And so I'm going to put him in the bottom tier. Jeremy Camp. Jeremy Camp has had a long career. He's had some good songs. I would put him in, I think of him like very similar to Third Day, which is another band that I'm going to talk about. Good, not great, not excellent, not awful, not objectionable. If you turn his music on, I'm not going to complain about it. But yeah, that's what I'm going to say about it. It's B tier to me. It's fine. Jesus Culture, like, it's the same type of thing as Bethel, Elevation. Like, I don't see much difference. I'm sorry. Their songs are also just way too long. Like, I'm sorry. Songs shouldn't be 12 minutes unless they have a justifiable reason. Unless you're Dream Theater, and even then, your songs are too long. Like, it's just too long. Jonny Diaz. He's a good lyricist. He has some country flair. He has a really cute song that he wrote about his wife. Not my thing. I don't listen to this genre of music ever. But it isn't bad. He has a good voice. He's a pretty good songwriter. B tier. Jordan Feliz. Jordan Feliz, I think, is better than some of the other artists in this like standard CCM genre. I like that he has more upbeat songs. I think his production is a little more creative, not quite as boring or conventional. It's still not gonna get ranked like crazy high, but I think his stuff is fine. I'll rank him also in B tier. Will you let me move it? Yes. Okay. Good. Josh Wilson. My goodness. He has some really good production in his music, but I'm not really ranking things based on production. Lyrics are somewhat cliche. Decent songwriting. Production is phenomenal, but I don't think Josh Wilson is producing his own songs. You can correct me if I'm wrong on that. The songwriting doesn't compel me. I'm going to put him in C. And again, to be clear, with Josh Wilson and Jonny Diaz, I don't know these artists very well. I listen to their top songs. I made a judgment off of that. I don't have time to listen to their whole discography, so maybe I could be proven wrong with some of their other songs. Joy Williams. I thought Joy Williams had a great voice, has a great voice. I think she joined a duo like Civil Wars with her husband, so she kind of crossed over into secular music. She wrote some like really good like rock songs that she sang pretty well on, I thought, in like the early 2000s. Yeah, strong songwriting. So she's gonna go in B tier. Jump 5 is so funny because it's really a band for kids. Like, it's a boy band for preteens. It was like, well, it's not all boys, but yeah, it's kind of that mold, right? I was really into Jump 5 when I was a preteen. You know, some of their songs are so catchy. Like, All I Can Do, Summer Song, like, they're really catchy. I'm sorry. I just think it's strong songwriting. Definitely as a 28-year-old woman, again, it's not something I listen to now. But if my preteen girl wants to, you know, if I have a daughter and she's a preteen and she wants to listen to this with me, we'll jam out to it. So I'll put it in B tier. Why not? Yeah, I know. I'm putting Jump 5 above King and Country. That's a little blasphemous, but that's okay. Kari Jobe. Good voice. I think she sings too many ballads. Songs are really long. It's a lot of the same issue that I have with these other worship bands. You can tell I'm not a huge fan of modern worship bands. I just think that we had good worship music before that. I don't know what it's done for the genre. Anyways, I'll put her in C tier, but I do think she has a nice voice. Keith Green is a phenomenal pianist. He is just an incredibly talented pianist, singer, songwriter. I don't think he's still alive, actually. So, but he was very prominent, I believe, in the 70s. I grew up listening to Keith Green. Nostalgia is not a factor, but he is a tremendous musician and a very talented songwriter. He's going in excellent S tier. KB is a rapper. I'm not going to pretend this is a genre that I have extensive knowledge about. I prefer him to Lecrae, I guess. He's kind of very similar to Lecrae. They've collaborated a lot. He seems to have like really kind of bold Christian lyrics, which I appreciate. I think his rapping is decent. I don't think it really holds a candle to like a Kendrick Lamar or a Lupe Fiasco, but in the Christian genre, I'll put him in B tier. Why not? King's Kaleidoscope, very creative Christian band. I think that they've written some of the most interesting Christian songs I've ever heard in my life. That being said, they used the F word in one of their songs. It's called a prayer. So I will rank this high, very high, but we are going to put caution with it because I am not a big fan of Christians cursing in their songs. I don't like it. That's out there forever. So, yeah, I'm not going to like say that they're not Christians, but I think that was a really foolish move. But good songwriters, phenomenal songwriters. I think it might just be one guy who does the songwriting. I don't know. All right, Kirk Franklin, enormously talented. Kirk Franklin's music director is Sean Martin, who is maybe my favorite keyboardist on the planet Earth. Great songs, great production. Kirk Franklin, though, I would use caution. I don't have time to get into all of it. I have in other videos. Kirk Franklin has just made some questionable choices. that I don't know how strong his walk is with the Lord. I can't go beyond that. I have to keep going, but use caution. But as a musician, man, he's really talented. He's really talented, guys. Oh, man. Yeah, I have to put him in S tier, especially just him working with Sean Martin. He's really talented. His music is great. It's really sad. I pray that he doesn't continue to stray. KJ52, oh my gosh. KJ52, if you guys don't remember him, he was like this white rapper. He kind of like likened himself to this Christian Eminem. He was very popular when I was like 10 years old. He wrote some of the most cringy like lyrics I have ever heard in my life. It's hilarious. It's nostalgic for me, but do I think he's like a paragon of musicality? No. He's gonna go in the D tier. And I want to make sure I'm actually putting him there. Yeah, I just have to move him over. All right. Cutlass. Cutlass is like a B tier band for me. Like, they're good. They have some good songs. They kind of straddled the line between rock and worship. It was kind of like a weird line to straddle. I think that they were good at both. I don't think they were amazing at either. But they have some solid songs. So, yeah, Cutlass will go in that B tier. Larry Norman. Larry Norman was a pioneer in Christian music. That being said, I have to look at each of these artists in a vacuum. Some of his songs are really catchy, obviously. Songwriting is not bad. It's not super compelling to me. Again, might be just because it's a lot older. Obviously, the production's not great, but that's to be expected. It's just, he's like a boomer rock artist. Like, I don't have much else to say. I appreciate his contributions to Christian music. I can put him in B tier because he does actually have some songs that are really notable. But yeah. Lauren Daigle. Oh man, spicy. What's my opinion on Lauren Daigle? Nice voice. She's been compared to like a Christian Adele. I like that. Some good songs. It's not my style of music, guys. Like, what do you expect me to say? Like, there's a lot of ballads. She does a lot of ballads. A lot of like piano-based stuff, but like, and I'm a pianist, but it just simple piano stuff. It's not like the music's bad, but it's not like I'm gonna seek it out. It's not like this is groundbreaking within the genre of Christian music. She is a CCM artist. She has said some questionable things. I don't want to fault her faith too much, but she's had some weak responses to questions she's been asked. As a musician, good voice, but I don't see a lot past that. Lecrae. He's a talented rapper. He has some lyrics that are weird. Like, I listened to a song where he talked about like practicing having kids with his wife, alluding to like being intimate with her in a song. It was just like a weird euphemism. I don't want to fault him for one euphemism, but it was just odd. He doesn't compare to Kendrick or Lupe or any of these other like secular rappers. Old stuff is better. He's said some things that are very political. I don't know. Like, he's good at rapping, so I'll put him in B. Lifehouse. I don't know if Lifehouse can actually be considered a Christian band or not. Regardless, if I'm ranking them just on their musicianship and songwriting, I'm putting them in A tier. Really, some really good songs came out of that band. Really talented writers. Lincoln Brewster's also going to go up in A tier. Lincoln Brewster's a very talented Christian guitarist. He's a worship leader too, but I really enjoy his technicality, his ability to combine technicality with really awesome worshipful songs. Yeah. Love Song. Love Song is like one of the older Christian bands as well. They have some catchy songs. I put them in kind of the same thought process as like Larry Norman. It's not a band I frequent, but like they're not bad. and they were pioneers in Christian music. I'll put them in B tier. B tier is getting big. Manifest. He's a rapper. Did a lot of collabs with Trevor McNevin from Thousand Foot Crutch, which I thought served him well. I like his music. I like it. Seems like a really strong Christian too. I don't know. Good, not amazing, doesn't blow me away, not bad. I mean, Mandisa, may she rest in peace. Obviously, I need to be careful here. I couldn't make a video without including her about Christian artists because she's prominent. I think she also goes up in B tier. She has a great voice. Did a lot of collaborations with Toby Mac, which I think helped her career a lot. She kind of reminds me of Katy Perry a little bit, not in lifestyle or anything like that, but just musical style. Talented, you know. Matt Mayer, I don't know. He's a decent worship artist. Didn't write a ton. I mean, he wrote some really popular songs, but like I think some of these other Matts that we're gonna get into are better songwriters. He's fine. Don't love him. Don't hate him. He's gonna go in average. I want to make sure I'm putting him in the right tier and that I'm not putting him in D tier because he isn't D tier. Matt Redman. Matt Redman actually wrote Heart of Worship. I think he may have written Blessed Be Your Name. He wrote some of these Christian mainstay songs. I think Heart of Worship is a really beautiful worship song, personally. He has a really good acoustic style. I like his voice. A lot of his songs have been sung by other people. He's kind of like Chris Tomlin in that way. I'll put him in A tier for that reason. Just, you know you're a really good songwriter if your songs are constantly sung by other people. Like, they are. Matthew West. I think Matthew West is a really strong Christian. Like, he has been outspoken about some awesome things. I tend to really admire his faith. He's also written some very good songs. He's a little too CCM-ish for me. Like, he's just too much in that genre. So it's a little bit of a genre thing. I think he's had a good career. And I don't have a ton of negative things to say about him. I'm going to put him in B tier. Mark Schultz. Mark Schultz has a very good voice. Some beautiful songs and orchestrations. He did a lot with strings in his songs that I thought were really that I thought was really awesome. Mark Schultz, I think, is a great artist. Some of his older stuff is beautiful. I'm gonna put him up in A tier. Mercy Me. I mean, a mainstay of CCM. I don't think they're as good as Casting Crowns, personally. I never really have thought they were as talented as Casting Crowns. They're not bad. I can't really rank them lower than B tier because their songs are so... They have some really good songs and it's quite memorable, but some of their newer stuff is not very compelling to me, and I don't really want to put it higher than I have it. Michael W. Smith. Okay, here's the deal. I'm ranking Michael W. Smith based off his old music, not really his worship stuff. Michael W. Smith is one of the most talented songwriters in Christian music history. Maybe the most talented. Michael W. Smith has incredible knowledge of the keyboard. Incredible music theory knowledge. When you see the way that he modulates and gets in and out of keys. He was also a very good arranger, talented arranger, very good songwriter. He always walked the tightrope between songs that are interesting and songs that are memorable. He did that incredibly well. Michael W. Smith, like, his old stuff is so good. If you can get past the 80s cheesy production, go listen to it. He's also probably my singular biggest inspiration as a keyboardist. He's going to go up in S tier for me. I'm going to just put him there. Okay. Want to keep it alphabetical order. Montell Fish. This is a guy that got famous on TikTok. I do not like his style of music at all. I don't think he is a Christian, even though he has called himself one and wears crosses. His songs are explicit, sexual. His voice is just in that apathetic, boring style that I am not a fan of at all. I just don't like it when people sound like they literally rolled out of bed and say into a microphone. I don't like that. Like, put effort into the things you're making and singing. Don't like his music. Can't speak for his faith, but I don't think it's very strong. That doesn't factor into the ranking, but his music certainly does, and he's going in the bottom tier. Natalie Grant, good voice, kind of boring songs. She kind of like writes songs that I feel like moms would listen to in a minivan. It's not necessarily bad. Maybe that's her demographic. Good for her, but it doesn't compel me. C tier. Need to Breathe. Okay. A lot of people recommend this band to me. This is not going to be very popular. They kind of sound like a Christian Mumford & Sons. Like, that's kind of what they sound like to me. They do, like, acoustic, folky, indie music. First of all, that is already not my genre. I just don't listen to that style of music. Ever. So, I'm going to try to not be biased about that. But I just feel, again, like, for King and Country, like, they just try too hard to be cool. Like, it's just, there's this vibe that they're trying too hard. Like, I don't like the lead singer's voice that much. It kind of sounds whiny to me. I've heard that this band is incredible. I don't see it. And I have listened to several songs by them. It's not my thing. I don't think it's awful, but I cannot rank it higher than C tier. I'm sorry. Newsboys. I mean, Peter Furler Newsboys is A tier. Michael Tate Newsboys is C tier. Put him in B tier? I don't know. That seems like a good spot for him. Yeah, B tier. Breakfast is still a great song. NF. NF, I think, is the best rapper on this list. Again, not a genre I'm super familiar with, but he really is like a Christian Eminem. Like, he is a very talented rapper. Raps well, sings well, I think has catchy songs. I might choose to listen to him even more after doing this ranking. I was very impressed. Okay, Nicole C Mullen. Yes, Nicole C Mullen. One of the best voices in all of Christian music. My Redeemer is phenomenal. Good, not great songwriting. I'll put her in B tier, but her voice is really, really good. Nicole Nordman, Holy is a decent song. That came out years ago. Most of her songs are decent. None of them are great. I've never felt compelled by Nicole Nordman. Like, it's just not something where I listen to her and I'm like, wow, that is, like, so fascinating. I'm not trying to be mean. I don't find her songwriting that compelling. I don't think she is necessarily a bad person, but it's just not my thing. Sorry. 9 Lashes. 9 Lashes is a very good band. I saw them live. They performed very well live. I think they toured with Red. They've really actually continued to make a name for themselves within Christian music, which I think is great. Haven't heard a ton of their newer stuff, but their older stuff was very talented. Strong songwriters. A tier. Paul Coleman, another very strong songwriter. Good guitarist too. He was a former guitarist of the Newsboys. I liked his solo career better. A tier. A lot of awesome acoustic songs. Petra. Petra is good. They were like kind of an 80s, I think it's 80s metal band, Christian metal band. I think they're better than one of these other bands that I'm going to talk about. I don't listen to them a ton. Had a good career. Very outspoken Christians. I appreciate what they've done for Christian music. They're going to go in B tier. Phil Keaggy. Maybe the most talented guitarist on this list. Unbelievably talented as a musician and as a writer. He's going to go in S tier. Phillips Craig and Dean. Long career, wrote too many ballads, kind of straddled the line between CCM and worship. Not a fan of the songwriting. They're fine, but don't love it. Phil Wickham, kind of like the male Lauren Daigle to me. Long career, wrote some really good songs, but like for the most part his stuff is average. Man, this is a long song list. Sorry, a long artist list. I'm doing my best, but yeah, he's fine. But I'm not gonna rank him higher than Lauren Daigle. Pillar, good Christian rock band. Had some really solid songs. I think they had an album called Where Do We Go From Here that was very good. But a lot of their songs kind of sound the same. Like, I don't see as much of a variation in style as I do with, like, Anberlin or Flyleaf or, you know, other Disciple bands like that. I'm going to put them in B tier. Oh, my gosh. B tier is getting ginormous. Okay, Plus One. They're, like, a less good Jump 5. They had some catchy songs. They really were the Christian Backstreet Boys, but I prefer the Backstreet Boys, sorry. Point of Grace. Great harmonies. There was like a female trio, I think. Very strong songwriting. Good career. They're gonna go in B tier. What did I just do? Okay, yeah, they are in B tier. Okay. Oh my gosh. We're doing it. Rachel Lampa. Pretty good voice. Not memorable songwriting, in my opinion. I don't know why my brain confuses her with Natalie Grant, but it does. I don't think they're that similar necessarily, but they're just names. I just confuse them. She's gonna go in C tier. Rebecca St. James, very strong songwriter. Some of her old stuff is very good. And I don't know if she's still walking with the Lord. I might use a little caution there, but her old stuff is certainly not bad. I can name, I mean, I'm not going to do it. I don't have time to do it now, but I could name like 10 songs of hers that are hits. They're really strong. She's going to go in A tier. Red. I talked about Red already, a few times in this. Phenomenal string arrangements. Maybe the best string arrangers in this whole list, maybe other than Rich Mullins, who I'm about to talk about as well. Their songs are really good. Some of their old albums, very raw, powerful songs, for sure. Not as much of a fan of their new stuff, but old stuff's really good. Relient K is S tier as well. I don't think they are walking with the Lord, so I would definitely use caution. Matthew Thiessen is top 5 songwriter on this list, for sure. Relient K had like 7 tremendously good albums, so I think they might be apostate now, so be really careful, but their old stuff, it's very sad actually, but their old stuff is really, really good. Rend Collective, they did Build Your Kingdom Here or something. I think that was the name of one of their popular songs. I don't like the singer in this band. I think he is apostate or near apostate. They have said some things very pro LGBTQ. I just am not a fan, and their music is unmemorable. So, I mean, it's not awful. I'll put it in C. That's fine. Resurrection Band. Early kind of boomer blues rock band. They're fine. I appreciate what they've done for Christian music. They're pioneers for sure. I don't think their songwriting is as compelling as Larry Norman or Love Song. They're going in the average tier. Rich Mullins, extremely talented musician and songwriter. His life was cut short very tragically in an accident. He has some fantastic string arrangements too. His music just always, I always worship along to his music. I think it's so great. Very catchy. Great musician, great songwriter. He's going to go up in that top tier. Rivers and Robots. Creative and interesting indie music. Indie is really not a genre I listen to either. By the way, if you guys are wondering what genres I do listen to, because it sounds like I don't listen to anything, I listen to a lot of progressive metal. I listen to a lot of jazz fusion. I do listen to some pop, depending on what it is. Yeah. Rivers and Robots. Yeah, very creative and interesting indie music. I think they're one of the better bands to come out of the mid-2000s. A tier. Sanctus Real, their old stuff was like kind of punk, and they got like more worship, and I don't think it was as good. But their old stuff is good. They'll go in B tier. Shane and Shane, really good acoustic guitarists. They're kind of a mainstay in the worship community. It's two guys both named Shane, not related to each other. They pick good songs to do covers of, I think. They've always picked good songs to do covers of. I really like their album of Psalms that they've done. I think they're a better choice for worship music than some of the other ones on this list. I'm going to put them in A tier. Can I do that? Did I do that? Yes, I did. Okay, good. Sidewalk Prophets. Oh, God. We're almost done. This has taken forever. Sidewalk Prophets. Good voices, kind of cliche, boring. I mean, a lot of these people have good voices. Like, having a good voice is just a prerequisite for having a career in music, unless you're David Crowder, apparently. But other than him, like, having a good voice is just kind of a prerequisite for it. Good voices, kind of boring, predictable songs, but, like, they're fine. I'm going to put them in C tier. Skillet. Comatose is a phenomenal album. If I was judging them off that album alone, they would go in S tier. Collide is also a very good album. Awake was decent. Everything since then has been less so. I really like John Cooper's beliefs. He's a really strong Christian. They have a lot of hits. I think they're deservedly popular. They're going to go in A tier. Sonic Flood. Some good worship albums, but they are old. I'm not sure how well they've aged, but some really good worship albums from Sonic Flood. I've talked to the lead singer in that band, and he's a good guy. I think he really does love the Lord, and I think they really were groundbreaking in the worship movement. They're going to go in B tier. Staci Orrico. I don't know how to say her name. Very poppy voice, catchy songs. Kind of reminds me of like Corinne Bailey Rae, you know, like good songwriting. Not my thing, but I see the appeal. I think she had some really catchy stuff. I'm gonna put her in B. Stellar Cart, another B tier band for me. I thought they were good. I've obviously grown out of their music to a vast. I thought they were like a less good Hawk Nelson, I guess, but talented. Stephen Curtis Chapman. Oh, man. I grew up on Stephen Curtis Chapman. Stephen Curtis Chapman, you can say what you want about him. You can say that he is a boomer. You can say that his music is out of date. You can say that he's just like this shill for Christian music. You can say all that stuff. I don't care. Stephen Curtis Chapman is a better songwriter than you will ever be. Probably. Likely. Again, he writes music for my parents' generation. Okay? I don't frequently listen to it. The man is a heck of a songwriter, and he is a heck of a guitarist. So many hits. So many good albums. I think he truly does love the Lord as well. That doesn't factor into this ranking, but it doesn't need to. He's going up in S tier. Steve Taylor. Man, Steve Taylor also has to go up in S tier. Steve Taylor was so groundbreaking for his time. His lyrics are so cutting. They said things that nobody else was willing to say. His music is very creative. It's very 80s, so you have to get past that style, but music is incredibly creative. Very talented guitarist. He kind of reminds me of Michael W. Smith in some of his music writing, but even more just pointed lyrics. Yeah, really talented artist. Stryper, this is probably going to be unpopular. I'm not a big fan of Stryper. I appreciate the contributions they've made to Christian music. I think they were really strong Christians, but I'm not ranking them based on that. Hair metal ballads are just not my thing. They aren't my thing. Besides that, I just don't see an extensive amount of musical merit, and I do think that Petra did what they did, but better. So they're going to go in C tier. We are getting there, guys. We're almost done. Super Chick. I think they're a little overrated. I think they were a little overrated. I think Barlow Girl was a better band than them. I think Zoe Girl wrote better songs than they did, personally. That's maybe a little bit of an unpopular opinion, but We Live is probably their best song. It really doesn't hold up for adults. It's really music for teenagers, youth group music for teenagers. It's going to go in C tier for me. Sorry if that's offensive to you, but it's just like not something I would rank high. Switchfoot / John Foreman, like John Foreman's solo career and his stuff with Switchfoot. Oh my gosh, guys, Switchfoot is so good. I worry about their faith. I really do. I'm sad. I'm worried they might be going apostate a little bit here. They definitely have been wishy-washy on some things I wish they weren't. But nobody can question John Foreman's songwriting. You just can't. It's as good as Relient K's. It is songwriting that is so good that the fact that they're not the most technical of musicians doesn't bother me, because the songwriting is that good. It's going to go up in S tier, but I would use caution, unfortunately. Tauren Wells, I would say a high C tier. I don't know why it's highlighting that. Okay. A high C tier, really good voice, decent songwriting. The lyrics are cheesy. He's in that CCM genre. Guys, just because the person has a great voice, and Tauren Wells does have a great voice. I'm not saying he doesn't. He does. He has a better voice than I'll ever have, okay? But just because the person has a good voice, that doesn't mean that you can just have them sing mediocre songs. Like, write good songs for these people. Okay, I'm starting to get mad, and I'm losing my voice because I've been talking for over an hour. So Tauren Wells is going to go in C tier. 10th Avenue North is also going to go in C tier. They're just like, I don't know. They're just a less good, like, Mercy Me. These just all blend into one thing eventually. They had some, like, good songs, I guess. I haven't heard anything compelling from them in the last 10 years. So Third Day has had a long career. I put them on par with Mercy Me. I might even like them a little bit better. Mac Powell has a really good voice. I like their style. It isn't something I still listen to, though. But they can go in B tier. That's fine. We're almost done. 1,000 Foot Crutch. 1,000 Foot Crutch is a really good band. I always really liked Trevor McNevin's voice. Some of their songs do start to kind of all sound the same eventually. I don't think that they deserve to be in the S tier, but I do think they deserve to be pretty high. I think they're going to go in A tier. Toby Mac's solo career, not as good as DC Talk, but there is no denying that Toby Mac is one of the most talented artists, just purely talented artists to ever come out of Christian music, ever. His early albums, Momentum, Welcome to Diverse City, and Portable Sounds, they're great albums. They're just great albums. He is a very talented songwriter. I think it's really sad he left DC Talk, that they broke up, but I cannot fault his solo career. I'm going to put him in A tier as well. Twila Paris, she did, I think the song God is in Control, which is a great song. She has some of these, kind of jungle-y themes in her music. It's very 80s, very CCM. Not as strong of a career as Amy Grant. Not as many memorable songs as Amy Grant. But she might still be a Christian, so that works in her favor. As far as her music goes, she's going to go in B tier. Under Oath. Under Oath is phenomenal. One of the most raw bands on this list. If you don't like screaming, probably isn't going to be your thing. Aaron Gillespie, I think, is a phenomenal drummer. Under Oath is one of those bands that really did and could make it as a crossover band. They're going to go up in A tier as well. Unspoken. Guys, I don't even remember any of this band's songs. I listened to them. I listened to their top, 3 to 5 songs. I know I did. I couldn't name you one. I couldn't tell you what it is. I just wrote down in my notes, I wrote very cliche lyrics and music, don't love his voice. Well, I can't name you a song. I can't name you one song by this band. I'm sorry. Sorry if you love them. They just aren't memorable for me. Wayne Watson, one of my dad's favorite Christian songwriters of all time. He was really popular, I think, in the 90s. Very strong songwriter, for sure. He had a folky sound that I really liked. I still like it to this day. I am going to put him up in A tier. We Are Messengers. It's kind of the same as a lot of these newer Christian bands. I don't even know whether to rank it in C or D tier. I'll just put it in C, fine, whatever. I want to finish this. Zach Williams, he's like Christian country. I don't like country music. That is no secret. He wants to be like this Christian Chris Stapleton type thing. Predictable chord progressions. I don't find his chord progressions particularly. I know he's trying to be bluesy. I don't find them bluesy. Mid-tempo, a lot of mid-tempo songs. It's just like CCM with like a slight country flair. It's just the same thing. Just like maybe slightly different. He's going in this bottom tier as well. Zoe Girl. Yeah, Zoe Girl had a lot of really good songs. They did. I'm thinking Beautiful Name. I'm thinking Dismissed. I'm thinking of With All My Heart. I'm thinking, what are some other songs by them? I think A Different Kind of Free. Was that one of their songs? They had some really good songs that I, again, still remember. What's the name of that song? I Believe in God, Believe in God. I don't remember the name of the song, but it was a good song too. Yeah, really solid songs. I don't think they wrote their own ones, so I'm not going to put them in the same tier as Barlow Girl, but I'll put them in B tier. And then finally, we're done, because all this Switchfoot thing down here is just a mistake that the thing made. Oh, this is the last artist. Yes. We're done. Second chapter of Acts / Matthew Ward's solo career. Phenomenal harmonies. Great harmonies. Strong songwriting. I think they even did a version of Easter Song that was really, really cool. I don't have a ton of familiarity with them, but I have enough familiarity to know that they're very talented. They are going to go up in A tier. Oh, am I done? I'm done. My voice is shot. Wow. Okay. That concludes the tier ranking. I did my best. It was a lot of artists to rank. Anyways, we're going to close out. I'm going to close out and just say, look, if these people don't have a warning label on their artist name, check out their music, even if they're in a lower tier. You may like their music better than I did. You probably will. Everybody has different tastes in music, and that's what makes it awesome. If you do see a warning label on an artist, doesn't necessarily mean don't listen to them. It just means use discretion, right? Use discretion. And then also, when you're done with that, go check out our music, because we try to make music that is creative, unique, pushes boundaries, glorifies God, all that stuff. And that is going to be all. Thank you guys. God bless.